Well, joining me now is James Brown. He's editor of the Sabotage Times and founding editor of Loaded magazine. We're also joined tonight by Charlie Wolf, the US radio and television commentator and regular on this programme. Good to see you both tonight. Charlie, let's start with you, because Boston is your home city. How do you feel about the primary suspect of a dreadful terrorist attack in your city being on the front page of this magazine?
Well, my personal views aside, let me tell you about Boston. This is not going to go over. This is gone viral. It's gone cross-culture.
So how do you feel about it?
Well, I think it was a mistake. I can see what they're trying to do. I have a bit of a background in media, so I can understand what they're trying to do, but I think this was a big mistake. As someone who works as you do, you know, in a sort of progressive end or a controversial end, there is that line, and you want to tiptoe up to the line and step over it every now and then. I think they've gone too far, and they didn't judge the market. This is a market where you've got people on the left, people on the right. As diverse a town and as progressive a town as Boston is, remember there's a strong working class, I'd say working class Irish undercurrent in that town that are not going to buy into this.
Well, whatever kind of demographics that's causing uproar right around the world. I mean, with your editor hat on, would you ever put it on the front cover? Could you justify that?
Yeah, I disagree with Charlie. I think for humanity it is not a good thing, because it certainly puts the guy in a very glamorous light, and he's the first suspected terrorist pin-up as a result of this. They've made him look iconic. But from a publishing perspective, it's a brilliant front cover.
Why? Because it sells more
Because for a start,
pieces.
we're talking about it on the other side of the world. Secondly, Rolling Stone was originally a magazine created by disaffected music fans, disaffected young people in the 60s. Those people are now grandparents. This is a way of reconnecting with the youth. Whether it's a positive story or not, it's a serious article that examines what was going on in that guy's life. The thing is, if he was ugly, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
But they could have used another picture, couldn't they? They could have used the mug shot of him, or you know, a shot when he's been in court. Not this picture, which glamorises it.
No, because they've made him look like a Rolling Stone cover star, and that's why it works as a Rolling Stone cover. Because when they put Obama on the cover, that is the most establishment that they can do, and this is a way that whereby, you know, they're doing a story about their core audience, young, disaffected people.
OK, Charlie Wolf, many other newspapers, including national and US papers, have used that picture, the one that we're looking at now.
Right.
So what's wrong with Rolling Stone using
Well,
it?
again, because it's the cover of the Rolling Stone, as the song used to go. You know, want to buy 5 copies for my mother. This is where Annie Leibovitz made her name as an international superstar as a photographer from Rolling Stone covers. So it's taking someone who is a terrorist or an accused terrorist who's killed people. There are, you know, people still, amputees walking around in Boston. And here's a picture that's glamorizing this guy. So I think from a humanity standpoint, again, yeah, you know, I understand what you're saying, but I think sometimes you can overstep the bounds to a point where it backfires. You know, yeah, you want to be provocative, you want to be Rolling Stone, but I think Rolling Stone, with great respect, I mean, as someone who grew up with it when it was at its height, the 70s, I think isn't the magazine it used to be. You know, their newsstand sales are about 70,000. It's not that big. So
that's why it works, Charlie, because it's put Rolling Stone right back in the centre of the publishing debate.
Could it not backfire?
I don't think it is a cheap trick. If it was 5 things you never knew about the terrorist suspect, it would be. But it is a typical in-depth investigation into that guy's life, and it looks at why a young, fairly affluent, relocated American would do something like that, or, you know, if
he's found guilty. OK, now we've been in touch with the magazine, and we've got a statement from them. Let's read it very quickly. They say, "Our hearts go out to the victims of the Boston Marathon bombing, and our thoughts are always with them and their families. The cover story we're publishing this week falls within the traditions of journalism and Rolling Stone's long-standing commitment to serious and thoughtful coverage of the most important political and cultural issues of the day." And I've actually read the article, Charlie Wolf, and it is a very well-written article, as the likes of Piers Morgan say. So does that justify that picture?
Well, there's an old expression in marketing, which I'm sure you know, perception, you know, perception is reality. So how the audience takes it. So yeah, they may reconnect with a small audience of disaffected youth, but I don't think there's that many. I know there's some that are out there thinking, you know, wanting to marry Jacques Arzaneyev. You see him outside the courthouse, and the rest of us think they're loons. But I just think when you see that 5 or 6 major retailers in the Boston area have all decided not to sell this magazine, I think this is sort of like, what was the guy who compared his jewelry to prawn sandwiches? Ratner over here. I think this is what's going to happen with this.
Why not use one of the victims? Why would that not have been a
I
better
thought
alternative?
that was a good point on one of the comments on Rolling Stone's Facebook. It said that
yeah,
actually,
Dropkick Murphy, so Boston Band said that.
He said you should have put the story of the victims, and you could, but as I said at the top of this point, this is not a great thing for humanity. So I'm not condoning what the guy's allegedly done, but from a publishing perspective, this guy is a good-looking young guy. If it didn't say the bomber, if it said the rocker, if it said the film star, we wouldn't be having a discussion.
But it's bad taste, though, isn't it? I mean, for example, I know you've got a family. If you had lost a family member, would you?
I feel terrible, but I think
would you buy that magazine, or would you be furious with them?
I can't answer both questions.
Why
not? I can't be if I'm a family guy and if I'm a publisher. From a publishing point of view, it's a brilliant magazine cover.
Do you think people should boycott it, Charlie Wolf?
Well, I've never one for boycotting. I've called for boycotts, but I just think
it's
that people
happening in America. A lot of news agents are pulling
it's happening by in a natural way. It's not because someone is necessarily called for boycott. The free market speaks. They had the right to publish it in the free market, and the free market says I have the right to either object to it or to buy it.
And
people making the free choice.
It'll sell out.
It may do.
That edition will sell out.
It may do. It's historical reasons.
I'd take a copy of it if I saw one, yeah.
For historical reasons, but I think they've hurt the brand in the long run.
We have to leave it there, gentlemen. Thank you very much for your thoughts.